Rockbridge Weekly looked out and found Chuck Bartocci of DSLCC's wind turbine program and asked him to come in and tell citizens and potential students a little bit about the program. Welcome, Chuck.
Thank you, Jerry. Pleased to be here.
Oh, good. Tell us a little bit about this program and a little bit about who Chuck Bartocci is.
I was snagged to come here to the Highlands about 22 years ago. Mead Westvaco, it was Westvaco at the time, it's now MWV, wanted to start a education program for paper technicians and really to upgrade their staff and provide training in a local environment. And I had significant experience in education in that area and got lucky enough to come here because I do see it as luck.
Your students feel the same way?
Well, hard to say. We faced, I think, what a lot of people face when they first come here. They're seen as transients or called transients. And really, we have embraced this area. It is one of the finest places to live, and we've lived in a number of different states. And it's just, you know, people like you, just people you want to know. And yes, we have our problems. Every time the Drug Task Force puts all their perps on the newspaper, sure, you know, you go, oh, there's one of my students, you know, or there's my next door neighbor, or, but everybody knows you. You walk into a restaurant and you can't get to your seat without talking to 3 or 4 people on the way there.
That's definitely true.
And I can't describe what it's like to have that sort of familiar sense of community that people have here.
Now, how did you transform that initial program or that initial interest into a program like wind turbine?
Since I've been at Dabney, I've had to create about 3 entirely different programs, and each of them were successful in either fulfilling a mandate, something that needed to be done, or met a particular industrial need. And so when the wind turbine position came open, when they decided they were going to go that way, and Department of Labor ponied up a significant amount of money, not just for equipment, but for tuition, for faculty salaries, for a number of things to get this moving, because there wasn't any on the East Coast. So I was called into the office of the president. Yeah, it kind of works that way.
Selected.
Yeah, well, it was, Chuck, we'd like you to do it. And I've always been excited about renewable energy. 20 years ago, I didn't think wind was the way to go, that we should go solar for a number of reasons. But the technology behind wind has progressed so much. 20 years ago, a 500 kilowatt turbine was big. Now we're talking 15 megawatt turbines.
Megawatts.
We're talking what I consider to be industrial grade wind. And that's really what we're focusing our educational program on. There is 1 or 2 community colleges now that are having some classes dealing with small and medium wind.
So you have the program is basically 3 semester. Well, what kind of student are you looking for? They have to be pretty substantial.
Yeah, well,
guys and
they
gals,
can't be this substantial.
Okay.
They should be in good shape. Actually, you have to have a physical to say you can do the tasks. Currently, what I'd like to have, and we should have by the end of this year, by the end of next year, end of the school year, climbing tower, 200-foot climbing tower. We should have our 5 kW wind turbine, which will give us a lot of supervisory control and data acquisition so that the students can get involved in that.
Right on site.
Yeah, right on site. Cool. There's a lot of other things I'd like to get. We've got some toys coming in that I'm not going to tell you about. Maybe we'll get you to come over there.
Holding that kind of here.
Well, it's all secret. No, we just went and saw some of the stuff, and it's from a Richmond firm, actually. Most of our equipment comes from other places, but it's nice to actually reach out and get it from a Virginia firm. And I was just really impressed with some of the equipment that was being designed there. And one of them is, I think, quite attractive. I think people will gain a real understanding for how much effort goes into just 600 watts.
I think these things are beautiful, but I think you mentioned in a note to me, or maybe I saw it on the site, that there are some environmental issues that may come up from time to time, but overall I don't think it's kind of gone by the wayside, hasn't it?
What you run into when anyone talks about environmental issues is there's anything we do as a human is going to impact the environment. I think, was it the FDA or the EPA wants to list carbon dioxide as a hazardous gas.
Right.
I'm breathing that out. Okay, I can save the environment, I suppose, by dying. But you can, as you look at each power source, nuclear power. 20% of America's power comes from nuclear power. A whole bunch of people against that, but it doesn't emit any greenhouse gas. 50% of our power comes from coal. Good for Virginia, good for West Virginia, good for Pennsylvania, greenhouse gases. You hear this whole business about clean coal, but is that really going to happen? I think the third most common power are the gas-fired turbines. About 20% of the power. Wind right now is at 2%. When I was looking at it 20 years ago, it wasn't anywhere on the radar map. It was in a few megawatts nationwide. Now we've got, like, Iowa produces 15% of its electrical power from wind.
Wow.
Texas produces 8%. It's a much bigger state, but they're producing an awful lot of wind power. Virginia needs to get on that particular bandwagon.
And with your help, with respect to the, when you speak to a student about this, and I want to get your contact information a little bit later, what's the #1 thing you want to plant in their mind about this innovative program you started?
Right now, there's no jobs here. And you know, if this would be a marketing tool, you'd want to soft sell that, I suppose. But the reality is, because there's not a lot on the East Coast, where it has to be is either offshore or along the Appalachian Mountain Range. So I'm sure you've been aware of all the debate going on with Poor Mountain. The jobs have been poo-pooed, but that'll be 50 to 100 jobs over 12 months. Tremendous economic impact for Boxley, providing the aggregate that's needed to make the roadways and pour the cement and all that sort of stuff. So there's a tremendous economic incentive right away. It was something like 19 wind turbines is what they're going to put up. What excited me was they're the 2.5 megawatt turbines.
Well, they're huge, aren't they?
Well,
32 or 60-foot blades?
Oh,
How
no,
large?
huge.
Larger
Think in
than
terms of a 747 wing.
Wow.
100 feet, let's see, 44 meters is roughly 130, 150 feet is one blade.
Wow.
And so there's a tremendous amount of instrumentation that goes in that. Knowledge of hydraulics is important, as well as a number of mechanical skills and issues. And what allowed Dabney to get this particular program is the advanced manufacturing program, because we have all those electrical study labs and classes built. We have the hydraulics, the pneumatics. And so we just had to add that additional fraction. And what that then creates is, let's say an individual comes to the wind turbine program, but decides they really don't want to leave the area. And we have people like that. The job skills they're going to learn are very portable. And they'll be able to go to work at Pepsi or at MWV or over at Coors. I'd like to work at Coors. Send me a case. That was from my Colorado days, by the way.
Yeah.
But what the student will learn is a series of skills that are very transferable into most industrial settings.
Okay, now how does a student contact the school? Is there a phone number or an email address?
Well, obviously you can go to the Dabney website. I mean, that kind of gets you started.
Dabney S, Lancaster Community College in Clifton Forge, Virginia.
DSLCC.edu. Or you can contact me directly. On my email's the best way to get a hold of me. You try to phone me, and you're going to get my answering machine. Because rarely am I sitting in my office. Right now, we literally have 3 classes of students. The first class was a double class. So just keeping them in the labs, doing what they need to do, and then developing the coursework is taking an awful lot of time. But if you email me at Bartocci, as they said in my father's hometown.
The correct spelling's on the Dabney website.
Bartocci at DSLCC.edu. And just say, hey, I saw your video, you're great, you should get a raise. Too bad the state's not going to give you one.
Yeah, send many of those emails.
Yeah, send many of those, it'll be helpful. No, anyway, seriously, that's the best way to get a hold of me. Say that you're interested, and we will get out contact information to you, and we will follow up. I think we had 15 to 16 sign up this semester. We had 3 that dropped. At least 1 that I know of dropped because they got a job. We started with 30, we're down to 22, and 4 of those have jobs. And so I don't think of it necessarily as a wind turbine program as much as a job placement program. If you want wind, and it's sexy, it's rocket science, people love it. Like you said, they're just awesome looking devices, and actually there's a reason for that. But that goes way into aesthetics and a few other things. But one of my students had an unpaid internship at Beach Ridge. Have you ever been up there?
No. Nope.
You
haven't been it yet. I've heard about it.
And you got all those YouTube videos.
I saw those huge blades going up the interstates. Yep.
It's actually not fenced in or anything. You can go up there and take a look. And so I've gone up there with student groups, and I've gone up there with area representatives, teachers, things like that. And a lot of the arguments you'll hear against wind turbines fall away when you go up there. You hear that they're noisy. Oh, the noise is going to be terrible. The noisiest thing we had were a couple teachers yakking away next to me. You couldn't hear the turbines, and they were turning. It's just a gentle swishing sound. You hear environmentally, and this is probably one of the big ones, birds and bats will die. And, you know, I've seen a video on YouTube. Watch his YouTube videos. He needs the money. I saw one where a buzzard or a vulture or whatever got hit by a blade. And that got an awful lot of hits, a lot of airplay. People saying, see how bad they are. I know there are studies. I can't tell you because this person couldn't tell me, but they're currently studying at the federal level and at the state level what sort of bird kill, what sort of bat kill is there going on. Does it represent a threat? When people tell me about bat kill, I say, how many bats have you let leave your house alive?
That's
every one of them. Bats are people too. All you have to do is open the window, close the door, they'll find their way out, okay? Open the screen up too.
I should have told viewers what a character we have on our hands today. Well, that is really great for you to take the time to join us today. And thanks very much for your time.
Thank you, Jerry. It was a lot of fun.